Hey, Fred from the Laptop Barn here. Today we're going to show you how to change the memory modules on a Dell Precision 7540 laptop. The Dell Precision 7540 uses DDR4 memory, as shown in the picture here. We are going to put in two identical 16 gigabyte RAM modules made by Micron with a speed of 3200. I recommend putting these in pairs. Now, there are two sets of memory modules in the laptop. Two are located on the bottom of the laptop and two are located on the top under the keyboard. It's a good practice. Those two sets of two, put the same type of memory in both of them. It's just a good practice. In this case, we're going to use Micron memory. So you could put up to four 32 gigabyte memory slot modules in for a total of 128 gig of RAM in this particular model. Many of the other models only have two slots. These Precisions have four, so you can really load them up with memory. Okay, in order to do this, we're going to show you how to get to both spots. All you're going to need for tools is a Phillips screwdriver and a pry tool. You could use a flat-headed screwdriver for the pry tool. Okay, so we are first going to get into the bottom two slots of the laptop. So to start with, we are going to flip it upside down and we are going to remove the 8 screws that go around the perimeter and in the center. So remove the 8 Phillips screws that hold that bottom plate on. And our objective is to take this bottom plate off so we can get at the two memory module slots that are located. Now we use the pry tool. Once you've taken the screws off, it's just pressed in there with a little plastic tab. So just carefully unsnap them. Now you can see the memory modules. In this case, they're both empty. So you could add 2 memory modules into that slot. To get to the other two, they're on the other side. You got to take the battery off first because the keyboard connector is under the battery. So remove those 3 screws and the electrical connector that plugs the battery into the board. Just undo those and the battery will come right out. And now there's the connectors for the keyboard. There's 2 or 3 of these depending on whether the laptop has a backlit keyboard. You just have to unhook them at this point. And now you're going to turn the laptop over. We have to get under the keyboard to find the other 2 memory slots. There's a retaining ring that holds the keyboard in place. You just pry it up. And when you pry up on it, you'll see what it looks like here. That's what you're trying to get off, that little retaining ring that holds the keyboard. Again, it's just press fit down on there. Now there's some screws that hold the keyboard down. So you're going to go in and there's 6 of these. Take the screws out. Remember, we've already disconnected it electrically from underneath before we flip the laptop over. So these screws are what's left that's mechanically holding it in. And at this point, we are going to pry the keyboard up. It should just come up and get out of our way. Now there's a little door right there with 1 screw. That's the compartment where the 2 top memory modules are. So you take that door off and there's 2 memory modules in that slot. So you could just snap them out, put a different one in there, or if there wasn't one there, you could add one there. Simple as that. That's all there is to it. The trick is just knowing where they're at. So now we do this process in reverse. We put the door back on the top memory. Now we got to put the keyboard back on, which will mean that we got to fish those connectors through that slot. You see we slipped it through so we can connect those when we flip the laptop over. Now just get the keyboard into position. It'll kind of snap in. We locate it usually on the top first. And then it snaps in to place all the way around the perimeter. Some little plastic tabs. So once you get them snapped into position, then you come in with those 6 screws and mechanically reattach the keyboard to the case assembly. Now when this laptop comes from the manufacturer, usually if they're going to put memory in, they'll have them in this slot under the keyboard. So if you were going to add memory, you might only have to get onto the bottom and not have to do this part, but we want to show you how to get under that keyboard just in case you had to. Then you put that retaining ring on top, back on. It snaps in place. Make sure it's snug. Run your finger right along the edge of it and you'll feel it snug right in there. And then once you've got it snugged into place, flip it back upside down. You got to reconnect the keyboard connectors into their connection device. And again, at this point, we didn't put any memory in those 2 empty slots, but you could. They just snap in. Now put the battery back on top of that. And you've now been in and been able to access all 4 memory module slots. And again, while you're doing that, you could either put larger modules in there, or if there's not one in there, you could add it up to a total of 128 gigabytes. Now we're going to put the bottom back on. You kind of start it from the back like we did there at an angle, and it'll snap right in place. And then you reassemble the 8 screws, and that is it. You've become an expert at changing memory on a Dell 7540 Precision. That's all there is. Thanks for watching today. Fred from the Laptop Barn here. If you like this, subscribe to our channel. We come out with tips and tricks all the time. Hey, thanks again for listening today.